It's milestone week here, baby. Episode 25. Quarter century mark for McCarthy and Miglio. We did it. We made it. Sound the alarms. Cue the fireworks. I want a blimp going through the sky. Perfect Spiral has made it episode 25. First and foremost, a huge thank you to everyone who has listened to our episodes and has made us get to this point. We would not be continuing to do this podcast if we were not getting the support we are getting. So thank you first and foremost. And what we got on the docket for episode 25, swear on everything I own, baby Jesus, everything was not planned this way. But we are talking about our favorite topic of the most important position in fantasy football on our 25th episode. You know them as the running backs. They're also called tailbacks. They've been around since football existed, and they have had their role diminished as the decades go by. But in the world of fantasy football, their role has never been more important. And we're going to tell you who the hell you should have going forward for this season and beyond if you're in a keeper or dynasty league. It's Perfect Spiral. It's the 25th episode. It's running backs. Let's roll.
You play to win the game.
Touchdown! Can't wait.
Johnny boy.
You were taking me through a journey through time that I was not expecting, man.
I'm here to please the masses.
It was like, you know how when it's like almost like I kind of wanted Samuel L. Jackson to do that, like, or no, not Samuel L. Jackson, Morgan Freeman, where it's like, before time there was the running back. Then it like goes to, they were called tailbacks and halfbacks. And then it's like you're going through all the planets, you know? It's like, and then it like lands on a football field.
What if I told you in a different universe?
Exactly. The running back was
John,
the most important position in football.
I was actually really good.
It was, right?
That was good.
Yeah, not bad.
John, we made it to 25 episodes.
We did.
Shake my hand now. We did it.
Congratulations,
we
Joseph.
Did. That's great. Great. And welcome, everyone, to our episode. It's Joe Miglio and John McCarthy, your co-hosts of the fan-favorited Perfect Spiral podcast.
Wait, we have to give an air handshake to Spencer.
Yes. Spencer deserves a handshake as well.
He
100%.
does. Double handshake.
As we said in the intro, thank you guys for listening. This is our 25th episode, quarter way to 100, halfway to 50. So we are there. A lot has happened since we first started this podcast. We've covered free agency. We've covered the draft. We've covered the lull period by doing a legend series. That's all in the rear view. And now we're doing fantasy football. And folks, there is football tonight.
There is.
There is preseason football tonight. If you are watching, and we are going to turn it on when it comes on, because we'll for sure be doing this podcast when it's starting. If I believe there's not Steelers, Patriots, Washington football team tonight.
7:30.
At 7:30. And then there's also, hold on, I'm checking.
Wait, by the time people will be listening to this week
Eagles,
today.
Steelers.
Yes.
Right. And if you're listening to this tomorrow, you have a couple of games. You have Bills, Lions, you have Titans, Falcons, and you have Cowboys, Cardinals. And if you're paying attention to any of those and you want to see players in those games, you're going to want to see Kyle Pitts from the Atlanta Falcons in his debut in an Atlanta Falcons uniform. You're going to see Zaven Collins make his debut in a Cardinals uniform. Micah Parsons for the Cowboys, who did very well in the Hall of Fame game. If anybody watched Hard Knocks, they highlighted Micah Parsons. And, the Lions, who did the Lions take in the draft this year?
The Lions took...
Am I drawing a blank?
I'm drawing a blank, too. It was somebody like actually...
There's somebody defensive, right?
Yeah, it was somebody defensive that fell to them.
Did they take... I don't know.
Wasn't it a corner?
It's clearly not important.
Clearly not.
Clearly not important for a Lions team that's going to go 2-15. Anyway, We are here to talk about running backs, and before we get into it, as we always tell you, make sure you are subscribing, and downloading and rating on any podcast platform you can get your hands on. Apple, Spotify, Google, Pandora, Deezer, Stitcher, or Buzzsprout, even where we upload all of our podcasts. John, how do you feel about this week? Feel good?
I do feel good. This is a fun position, Joe.
This is a fun position. John and I are about to go to war.
We are.
Today. Chairs might be thrown. Stitches might be needed.
It's going to be intense.
It's going to get intense. But before we get to the running back position, John, we have our newly augmented segment, the training camp report. You need like a whistle, like woo woo, like training camp report. Yeah. And today, the training camp bus is going to take us to a couple of different places, and they all have one thing in common. I'm not going to tell you what that thing is in common, but we're going to just kind of take you on that journey, and we are going to let you figure it out for yourself. Let us start and go north, John, to the great city of Boston, and let's stop in Gillette Stadium, and let's take a look. Let's check on the New England Patriots.
So Mac Jones has looked decent in camp. At first, it was a little weird with him, right? Like he wasn't playing so hot in camp. You're going to see him tonight, obviously. And if you're listening to this tomorrow, you could check the highlights. I'm sure he's going to play. All signs do point to that being Cam's job right now. But definitely, Mac Jones has definitely stepped it up. He's definitely getting it together. Not to mention now he has a real number. He's number 10 and not 50 anymore.
Here's my thing about this whole situation, right? It's Cam's job, right? I think Bill said it's not even an open quarterback competition. Cam's clearly the starter. Mac is clearly the backup.
Yeah.
And this is it, right? I don't expect to see Cam Newton tonight at all.
No.
Do not. But I can tell you that even though Cam's not going to play and he will start week 1 of the season, Mac Jones has a prime opportunity right now to make that leash, that imaginary leash that Bill Belichick has on Cam Newton now, he can make it a lot shorter. Because John, me and you have discussed this ad nauseum. Cam Newton.
Yeah.
Noodle Newton, as we call him. Noodle Newton.
We love him in fantasy, but for all other purposes, he's a noodle.
As soon as he starts making passes that aren't hitting receivers, or he's not reaching receivers, or he can't throw the ball 40 yards down the field, if Jones plays well during these preseason games, Patriots fans are going to get impatient. And if we look at the New England Patriots starting schedule, where they start, I mean, you have a couple. And here's the thing: it's not the most difficult schedule, right? You have Miami, tough game. Jets, okay. New Orleans, not easy. Even though it's
question marks,
not
easy.
Tampa Bay, obviously not easy. Houston, Dallas, right, and then the Jets again. Those are the first 7 weeks.
I can see them going 5-2 there.
Right, but if they go 5-2, you're not going to see Mac Jones all year.
No.
Doesn't matter how Newton's playing.
The sweet spot for him though is Houston.
Well, that's the thing.
If
he could get out of the first 5 games, if they could go 3-2, and they could possibly, if they could beat New Orleans, the Jets, and Houston, and beat one of Miami or Tampa Bay, a la Miami, probably, and they go 4-1 of those first 5 games, you're not going to see Mac all year. So my point being is, if Mac wants to make a dent in it, he's got to do it now.
Yeah.
He's got to do it now. I don't know how much pull he's going to get tonight, because obviously you don't want the kid to get hurt, but you want to see what he's got. You want to see what he's got.
Exactly.
First time against live action. And you like him more than I do.
Oh, I liked him coming out of the draft. I felt like he was just...
So what are you expecting from Mac during this preseason? Anything in particular?
I just want to see that he can make some throws, man. That's really what it is. In training camp, he was having a little bit of an issue making those throws. There was some days where he... So, we're going to get to the other quarterbacks in this rookie class that are, we're seeing even greater heights for just in training camp. Mm-hmm. Mac Jones has been just okay. He's been decent. He's not the worst of the rookie quarterbacks in training camp.
No.
But he's not the best. He's learning. He's definitely in there. He's definitely trying to figure it out.
There's one common denominator I think, for these quarterbacks. And one of these quarterbacks mentioned it in his press conference today, where they asked him, what's the biggest difference, or what's the thing that you're adjusting to the most? Because they mentioned how in red zone drills a couple of days ago he didn't do very well, and then today he went like 7 for 7 in those red zone drills. Same red zone drills. He just had a cut like complete 180, right? And they said, well, what have you been working on to for that progression? And I think it's the same thing for all these quarterbacks. He goes, the speed of the game. I'm trying to catch up to the speed of the game.
Now who are we talking about?
Trevor. Obviously.
Okay.
I wouldn't know
Trevor.
that much information unless it was Trevor. So, because I watch the press conferences like I'm a psychopath. But he mentioned, he goes, the speed of the game is really something that we need to adjust to. And it's not the first time we've heard that from a rookie. He's like, wow, I can't believe how fast these guys are. Which is really incredible to me because, like, these guys play each other in college, and the game's not nearly as fast, clearly, but when they get to the pros, it's the best of the best.
But do you think that it's like and now, I mean, I guess we're moving to Trevor now because now you mentioned him, so.
We could. I was going to take the bus to Chicago first.
Okay, we'll take the bus to Chicago, but do you think that's a coaching thing? And you know what? If that's the case, then credit to Urban for kind of transitioning his coaching style already. But do you think it's a coaching thing, that the way that they're coaching these players?
I think it's an organizational thing. I do. I think it's an organizational thing. There are teams that want to play fast and teams that want to play slow. Mm-hmm. And I think the team I think Chicago is a team that wants to play slow based off their personnel.
Yeah. I mean, Chicago, are we parked where the bus is parked now, right?
The bus has left New England and we're now pulling into Soldier Field.
Justin Fields looks incredible.
I don't know why you're shocked.
I think
I don't know why you're surprised.
I wasn't crazy about him in the draft. I am on record saying that I was not crazy about him, but as Joe has found my dog's ball on the couch, I am not I wasn't crazy about him in the draft.
Well, I've told you before the draft happened. I said I was mentally prepared in my head that Justin Fields was going to be our quarterback. When I say our, I mean the Jaguars quarterback. I was mentally prepared for that. Because the Jets hadn't won a game. It was like ingrained in my mind. And this was all after the Justin Fields Northwestern game, right? The infamous Justin Fields Northwestern game where he did not play well. And everyone was like, oh my God, Justin Fields, he's not worthy of a number 2 pick. He's an Ohio State quarterback.
I fell for that.
All this other bullshit. And exactly what it was bullshit. Then he goes in the playoff and throws 6 touchdowns against Clemson. Everyone's like, oh my God, maybe he's better than Trevor.
He outperformed Trevor.
Which he's not.
He's not, but he outperformed him.
He had a better game. Great. And he got hurt. He came back. He showed toughness, all sorts of stuff.
Yeah.
I am not surprised. The Bears knew what they had in Justin Fields. And I still think that it's going to come back to haunt the Jets, and it's going to come back to haunt the 49ers.
And the Vikings.
And, well, you can't blame the Vikings because the Vikings didn't trade. Remember, the Bears traded up to get Justin Fields.
We tried to move up with Carolina.
You tried to, but
it's going to hurt Carolina,
it wasn't
too.
enough, right? So that's fine, right? I don't think you can't blame them because they didn't. And they openly said if he was there at 14, they were going to take him. It's not like they didn't say that. They said that.
I know.
So I'm not going to say it's, no.
More so hurts my brain.
But, right, because you now know that was a possibility.
Yeah, it was a possibility.
But, everyone saw the throw that he made. He was rolling out to his left, and he threw the ball across his body to a sliding, I think, Darnell Mooney in the end zone. It was like, oh, my God, that precision's great. Folks, he's an accurate quarterback.
Very accurate.
I don't know where this notion was. Is it because he played for Ohio State? Is that what it is?
You know what it was, Joe? When I watched, so I was in charge of the quarterbacks. If we're going back into draft coverage, I was in on the quarterbacks, and I had to watch tape on Justin Fields. And listen, Joe, there was some games that he was electric, and there were some games that he was not electric. There was a lot of inconsistency there. But
there's games where Tom Brady's not Tom Brady.
I know, but we were looking at a quarterback who had a slight bit of regression from the year before. I mean, granted, it was a shorter season. There was, everything going on, but there was a little bit of regression there. But at the same time, there might have been a little bit of improvement in mechanics from the year before. But he still looks like Cam Newton to me.
He's a 6'4" quarterback who's 230 pounds who runs a 4.4, and he has a rocket arm.
Listen, all credit to Chicago.
Going to be good. How good? That depends on the system that they run.
Yeah.
He's got a number one wide receiver in Allen Robinson, who I'm telling you right now, and this may spill into our Robinson right now, newsflash, by the way, okay? Newsflash. Allen Robinson is playing with the best quarterback he's ever had in his career, and that's Andy Dalton, okay? Let's make that very clear right now, okay? And yes, I'm including Blake Bortles. Andy Dalton was a better quarterback than Blake Bortles, okay? So he's playing with the best quarterback now of his career at Andy Dalton, right? Dalton's not going to be the starter by week 6 or week 7. Not going to happen.
No way.
So when Fields comes in, Robinson's a top 10 fantasy wide receiver without question.
He goes into the stratosphere.
With Fields, he becomes a top 5 wide receiver.
Yep.
Immediately. Think of how good Justin Herbert was last year with Keenan Allen when he stepped in, when he started the season. Keenan Allen was fantastic.
Joe, he doesn't just have Allen Robinson. I mean, we're going to talk about David Montgomery a little bit later, but I mean, that's another guy.
And Darnell Mooney, I think, is a nice piece there. But I mean, listen, if you're paying attention, which I hope a lot of you guys are, Justin Fields is going to be here for the long haul. He's going to start this year at some point. We discussed him a little bit last week on the quarterback discussion, but if you're in a keeper league and you're sitting there in round 9 or 10 or 11 and you have a chance to take Justin Fields, do yourself a favor and do it. Do it. Don't do it. Yes, you're not going to play him once this year probably.
No, but let him sit.
But he's a stash. If you have a 15-man team, there's no reason on God's green earth in a keeper league or a dynasty league why you should not in a dynasty league, you're taking him in the first few rounds. But in a keeper league, you should definitely be taking him around like 9 or 10 or 11.
Yeah.
All right.
Where's the bus going now?
The bus is going down to Florida before we go back up to New York.
Okay, let's talk.
Okay. Oh, okay, yeah. And I'm just we're not gonna go to San Francisco because there's really nothing to report out of San Francisco.
No, I think that's very much it is what it is.
With Trey, it's just he looks good. You know, it's Jimmy's job.
They're not rushing him.
There's not a lot of like back and forth.
Yeah.
Jacksonville probably has the most intriguing rookie quarterback story so far because Urban came out today and said that there's an open competition between Gardner Minshew and Trevor Lawrence.
Joe. When Joe looks down like that, and
John,
then
I'm
going
going
to
to ask you a question. Do you think there's an open competition between Gardner Minshew and Trevor Lawrence?
So it's funny you asked that, right? So I'm going to give you an interesting answer to this.
Okay.
I do not think it is an open competition, but
okay.
I feel like Gardner Minshew knows that his time in Jacksonville is short. And he is giving it his absolute all. The franchise is talking him up because they want to move him. It's Trevor's job at the end of the day, but when you make it like this, that Gardner Minshew has shown all this improvement, he's really giving Trevor a run for his money. He really looks good. Open competition. Oh my God, we haven't decided yet. You want to keep this asset at his value. Because if you turn around and say, well, it's Trevor's job immediately like that, well, he didn't even put up a fight. He didn't look good. You know? So as a team and as a franchise, they are talking him up because I think they want to move him. But it's Trevor's job.
A part of me agrees with you. Absolutely. Part of me also wants me to think that they want to keep Gardner because he would be one of the better backups in the league.
Of course.
Obviously. God forbid something would have happened to Trevor.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to tell you guys, I'm going to tell you something right now. Okay? It's not an open competition. It's not. He's saying it because he has preached since day one. He has preached competitiveness and open competition. He's even gone as far to say that some of the roster spots, they're keeping track of who wins one-on-ones in practice because that's going to be a determining factor in like roster spots. Like he's counting everything.
Well, you have to count everything when you're the worst in football.
He's counting everything. So I'm not surprised. And you know, I've watched a couple of videos of training camp practices, and everyone says the same thing. The ball, Gardner Minshew can't throw the ball downfield very far. Everyone saw it. He's very limited as a passer. There's a reason he was a 6th-round pick. He's very limited as a passer. He's checked down Gardner. He loves checking down. the ball just comes differently out of Trevor Lawrence's hand.
Yeah, that one throw that's all over Twitter
Right.
the past 2 days.
You know, and people are downplaying. It's like, oh, I've seen that quarterback make that play.
No.
First of all, let me be clear. You may have seen your quarterback make that play, but in the history of the Jacksonville Jaguars, they've never had a quarterback who could do that.
The mechanics on that throw were incredible.
So,
I watched it about 4 times today.
So there's no competition. He's making it look like maybe he's doing it because of the reasons that you said. That's fine, you know, and that's cool. But you know what? Let Trevor Lawrence, let a rookie, let's not forget he is a rookie, okay? People tend to forget that when you're dealing with the number 1 overall pick who was a guy who was touted as the next Andrew Luck or the best prospect since Peyton Manning, right? People forget he's a rookie as soon as he comes in the league. They think he's just going to walk in and be a superstar immediately.
Yep.
Let the kid earn the job. Let him earn the job.
Yep.
At the end of the day, is he going to be the starter? Yes. Want to know the answer why? Is because he gives them the best chance to win today. And Urban wants to win right away. Is he going to win right away? Probably not. He's going to have a difficult time doing it in his first year, but he's going to make sure that they're significantly better.
He gives them the best shot to win. Like
Absolutely. So at the end of the day, it's going to be Trevor's job, but he's saving face right now, and that's fine.
Yeah.
Totally cool with that. That being said,
last quarterback.
let's take the bus and let's go back up to New York and let's park the bus at MetLife. Let's talk about Zach Wilson.
Oof.
Okay? You say oof. I'm not saying oof because there was something in his press conference that he said that I loved.
What did he say?
Loved.
Tell me.
So it was. They had a scrimmage last week, and he did not have a good scrimmage. He threw a couple of interceptions, and he was like 12 of 24. He did not have a great day. A couple of days after that, he's out there, and I think it was today or yesterday. The reporter asked him, how you, do you think anything about how you performed? And he said, I'm taking shots in practice because it's practice. He goes, if I don't take my chances here, then I'm not going to know what I could get away with in a game. He goes, if I throw it into double coverage or a tight window in practice and somebody gets picked off or it gets batted down, then I'm not going to make that same throw in a game. Why would I not do it in practice? Why would I not, take a chance in practice? And honestly, he's not wrong.
No, he's not wrong at all.
He's not wrong. And in Zach's, see, the thing about Wilson, different from every other quarterback that we've discussed, and I'm going to even count Trevor in that because he does not have the position. It's not his yet.
Yeah.
The Jets quarterback, without a competition, is Zach Wilson. He is QB1. He knows he's starting from day one, right? He does. There's no doubt about it. Trey Lance isn't starting. Mac Jones isn't starting. Justin Fields isn't starting. And as of right now, Trevor Lawrence is in an open competition, so he's not guaranteed he's going to start. Zach Wilson is QB1 for the Jets. So if you know you're QB1 and there's no chance you're going to be taken out of that role, why would you not take shots in practice?
I agree with you. I think it's just when you're looking at the situation elsewhere, he kind of comes off a little too risque, and I don't.
Well, Colin Cowherd was like, "Oh, he's the next Johnny Manziel."
Yeah, I was just gonna get to that. I love Colin, but at the same time, I thought Colin was way off on that. Johnny
Colin's
Manziel
way off on a lot of stuff.
Saying that he's the next Johnny Manziel. I mean, there is no. I mean, I did compare him play style wise to Johnny Manziel a little bit, but at the same time, I don't think when people talk about Johnny Manziel, they don't talk about the player; they talk about the ego. I don't think Zach Wilson has the ego or the personality of Johnny Manziel. He may have the same play style, which is fine because honestly, if Johnny Manziel was not what he was.
Johnny Manziel also didn't have the accuracy that Zach Wilson has.
He didn't have the accuracy. He
And
didn't
the
have a lot
arm
of the tools. Yeah. Zach Wilson is if Johnny Manziel was a better prospect. But,
Right, absolutely.
But to compare him person-wise, it's not even close.
Now, I will say,
It's way off base.
I think Trevor, Zach, Justin, and Trey will all play this year. Undisputed. We will all play. I don't know if Mac's going to play. But I'm telling you right now, if all four of them play, I would not be shocked if Zach Wilson does not have the poorest year out of all 4 of them. And that's okay because I just think that means that he is going to take a little bit longer to come along. That's all. I don't think it's a bad thing.
No, it's not.
Trevor, I think, is very as close to NFL ready as you're going to get. Fields is not far behind him. And Trey has that dual threat that will make him a weapon immediately.
And the crazy thing is that we're talking about it and we're saying like give Zach time. And I'm all for that, but the problem is that he's playing on a team and in a city that does not give people time. I mean, one game and they're ready to crucify him. So let's hope he just has a good head on his shoulders and he can handle the criticism.
He'll be fine. All right, we're going to take a quick break, and then when we come back, it's fantasy football for the running backs. Let's roll. We got it. Running backs coming up.
Hey y'all, Spencer Blinn, the producer for Perfect Spiral Podcast, and you're listening to my band Hollow Choir's new song, What You Want. Available now on Spotify. What you want?
All right, folks, we're back here, and it is officially fantasy football running back time. If you stayed with us for the training camp report, thank you very much, and went through our rookie quarterbacks, and now we are going to go to our running backs, John. So here's how we're going to do it, folks. We are going to go over our rankings, our top 10, our top 20, what have you. Mm-hmm. Then we're going to talk about guys who could be flex spots or, nice, deep, players, nice deep players who may not start for you day one, but could really elevate themselves. Sleepers, busts, and handcuffs. I'm going to turn it over to my friend McCarthy here, and I want him to tell you all his. What do you want to do? Top 20?
Should we do? You want to talk running back draft strategies?
Oh yes, quick? Let's do that. Running back draft strategies. I want to start with you because you had a very insightful about your quarterbacks.
Yeah. So the way I do my running backs is when I'm looking at my team, right? When I discuss the way I draft my quarterbacks and how I surround my team around that, when I'm looking at the running back position, I'm running back heavy. When I draft, I'm very running back heavy. Why? Because running backs, I feel like get you the most points out of your flex position. Over wide receivers or tight ends.
In the flex?
I like running backs in the flex. So I like to hope to have 3 starters or 2 starters and 1 rotation guy. A la at last year, it was a Chase Edmonds or J.D. McKissick or a Jamal Williams this year, which we'll get to those players as flex plays. I like those guys as flex plays because they are going to give you... J.D. McKissick was a bona fide 15 points last year. If you're getting 15 points out of your flex position, that's a win. That's a win in my book because you don't get that from everybody. If you put a receiver in there in your flex position, chances are you're not putting a wide receiver 1 in there. You're putting a slot receiver in. And the problem with that is, unless like what you do, Joe, which is great because if you draft 2 tight ends, you put another number 1 tight end in that spot, and it works out great like you've done with Kelsey and Waller. And I actually copied that last year on the championship team. Yeah. I had Kelsey and Waller. I thought that was a fantastic strategy. But with me, what I do is I take the running backs, and I'm hoping that I'm going to get a rotation. James White. James White is an amazing flex play, Joe, because he's going to get you the 15. He's going to get you 15, 20.
I don't know about anymore, but a couple years ago he was, yes.
A couple years ago, it's bona fide. This year, it's Jamal Williams. It's J.D. McKissick. It's... Who else do I have here? Not to get too far hide. Naeem Hines.
Hines.
You got Swift, DeAndre Swift.
Can I dispute that for 1 second?
Go ahead. Push back, please.
I think the flex position is very volatile, is the word I'll use. Mm-hmm. Where you may get guys who put up big weeks, kind of like a Deshaun Jackson, right? You get guys who put up big weeks, and then you get a guy who literally does nothing for the next 2 games, right? Running backs are more volatile than wide receivers, in my opinion. So comparing a guy, like you say, J.D. McKissick, right? I say... let me say exactly what I'm thinking.
By the way, it's super cool that there's a Field of Dreams game on. I threw the Field
I know,
of Dreams
it really is. I say Robbie Anderson.
Okay.
Who would you rather play on a week-to-week basis? J.D. McKissick or Robbie Anderson?
I'm going to be honest with you. I'd rather J.D. McKissick.
Would you really?
Because when I'm looking...
See, to me, okay, before you... McKissick only gets on the field on passing downs. Anderson's a wide receiver 2 in that offense.
Let me push back on that.
Okay.
The Washington Redskins, I'm a big proponent of this, and I'm going to get to this when we get to the rankings. They have an offensive identity. They've had an offensive identity now for a few years. They had Chris Thompson. Mm-hmm. Once Chris Thompson left that role, it became J.D. McKissick's role. Chris Thompson was a bona fide flex play. There was even a discussion that Chris Thompson could be a RB2 in your lineup. He exceeded flex play. So, wow, that is cool. Sorry. Yeah, cool. We're watching the Field of Dreams game as we do this. But so that's why I think that it's a big deal.
But do you think, okay, now let me ask you another question.
Go ahead.
Do you think that it's only, you could only put pass catching backs in that spot?
Yes.
So if pure running backs, no good.
Pure running backs, no good. Pass catching backs, yes. Because you know what?
That's almost like a wide receiver.
Yeah, they're going to get a couple of carries. But see, here's the thing. When you have a pass catching back in there, you have the chance. So when you're a wide receiver in the flex position, you know your only way you're scoring a touchdown, unless it's an end around your Tyreek Hill or one of the Cordell Patterson, some of those guys, the only way you're scoring a touchdown is via the catch. When you're a running back in that flex position, there's a chance you're punching it in on the goal line and you're catching one bouncing outside. You see what I mean? So I feel like I'm playing the odds on maybe getting a touchdown both ways when I'm playing that flex running back. That's my whole thing in my head.
Do you take into account, though, what type of offense it is?
I do, and that's why I was saying we're going to get to that because a lot of these teams, I feel like, and a lot of the guys I like and a lot of the teams that I'm for have an offensive identity. I tend to shy away from guys who do not have an offensive identity, who are on teams where it is a wish-wash sort of like, well, do they like to run the ball? Do they not like to run the ball? A la example, Aaron Jones, what's the offensive identity there is a passing game. It's not a run game.
I mean, not as much lately, though. We'll talk about that.
Yes, we'll get to that.
So that's interesting. I mean, my strategy on running backs is simple. It's the weakest position in fantasy sports, by far. When your most important position is the weakest position, and when I say weakest, people will say, "Oh, Joe, no, tight end's the weakest position." Skill-wise, yes, because there's such a steep drop-off after the first 3.
Yeah.
But the running back decline is like
immediate,
an avalanche. When you get past, and you got to remember, right? There's 32 football teams in the league. There's maybe half of those teams have a 3-down running back. Maybe half of those teams have a 3-down running back. The era of the 3-down running back is over. So, in my opinion, and my draft strategy is, you want to draft 3-down running backs as your starting backs.
Of course.
If you don't have a 3-down running back as your back, you are going to lose carries, which is why I don't love Chase Edmonds this year as an RB2 because he will definitely lose carries to James Conner on the goal line. Absolutely will lose carries.
100%.
You know? And that's why I do like a guy like Aaron Jones, especially with Jamal Williams gone.
Fair enough.
I like a guy like Alvin Kamara, who you're not crazy about. I love Joe Mixon this year. We're going to go back and forth on Joe Mixon, but Giovanni Bernard's not there anymore. So now he's a 3-down running back.
True.
That immediately catapults him into a different stratosphere for me. Mm-hmm. There's guys that, like Josh Jacobs, I think his as bad as Kenyon Drake was last year, the Raiders did not give him an $8 million contract to have him sit on the bench all game.
No,
he's not going to. And you're telling me Josh Jacobs was really a pure runner who sprinkled in some catches here and there?
Who's actually very good in the passing game that they don't utilize.
Josh Jacobs is going to be non-existent in the pass game this year. Non-existent. He's going to be a pure running back. So he's definitely dipped for me on my tier of running backs.
Yep.
So my thing is you want to grab guys who are 3-down running backs. I do agree with you. If you want to use a pass-catching back in the flex, I agree with you, but you need to be sure of what their offensive identity is. I think McKissick's an interesting pick because of who their quarterback is this year.
Yeah.
In Fitzpatrick. If it was still Alex Smith or Dwayne Haskins, I'd say no. But
Which is crazy how well he performed with Haskins and Smith last year.
Well, yeah, because Haskins didn't know what the fuck he was doing.
Yeah, it's
So
true.
he was like, oh my god, it's a running back.
All right, so
God.
you want to go through our top? What do you want to do? You want to do 10 to 1 first? You want to do 1 to 10, and then we'll go.
Why don't we
11
count
to 20?
down? Yeah, let's do 20 to 11,
And then we'll highlight a few guys,
and then we'll do 10 to 1.
Okay. So I'm gonna go from 20 to 11. So number 20 on my list is Javonte Williams, who has
Okay.
a love rating for me this year.
Right.
I have
Denver Broncos.
Chase, the rookie for the Denver Broncos.
Right.
I have Chase Edmonds at number 19. He makes the love list for me. I love him as a flex play this year.
Love him as a flex.
Love him as a flex. I don't like him as a your RB1 or your RB2.
Okay.
Number 18 for me is J.K. Dobbins. He has a hate rating for me this year.
18.
Number 18 is J.K. Dobbins.
Okay.
Number 17 for me is Kareem Hunt. He has a love rating this year because Kareem Hunt is. See, I want to pause on Kareem Hunt for a second.
Good. That's what we're here for.
So in fantasy, it's weird because like you wouldn't really start two players from the same offense in your lineup because you're kind of. It would almost be like you're selling yourself short.
Right.
You can start Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt in your lineup. At least
I feel like
I think
people
so.
are so afraid to do that though.
Yeah, but it's kind of some big brain shit. Like if you're gonna start putting Kareem Hunt and Nick Chubb in your lineup, like you have to be really confident. But you can do it because you know what, Kareem Hunt was fantastic last year. But Kareem Hunt is strictly third
And
down passing back.
I want to talk about guys really quick that you're talking about. So I have Dobbins at 27.
Wow. Okay.
I have Hunt at 22.
Okay.
Who else did you mention?
I was Chase Edmonds.
Chase Edmonds. Okay, I'm not gonna go because he's in my top 20 as well.
I have Javonte Williams at 20.
Javonte Williams. He's not in my top 20. I have him at 25.
Okay.
So not too far behind.
So then after Kareem Hunt, I have Josh Jacobs at 16. He has a hate rating for me.
Okay.
Number 15, and we're going to probably stop here and want to talk about this. He has a love rating from me, which is your running back, James Robinson.
Hey, Jimbo!
I just want to have words with, wow, that's cool. Look at that graphic.
It really is sick.
So I want to, how much do you think it was to go to this game?
Probably super expensive.
Super expensive.
Had
yeah.
to be.
Don't mind us. We always just have something
We're
on.
sports fans at heart.
So James Robinson, I just want to say something about Fantasy Pros and their coverage and their rankings. Can we talk about how they have James Robinson at number 32
John,
on their PPR rankings?
I'm going to let you go first on this. Go ahead.
Okay,
Go
so
first.
that is blasphemous. How do you have James Robinson at number 32? There's some crazy players ahead of him. I mean, I could pull it up right now, but do I have it open still?
While you're doing that, let me talk about this for a second. Do you people understand that James Robinson ran for 1,000 yards as an undrafted rookie in 14 games last year? Are we forgetting this information? Yes. Yes. The Jaguars drafted Travis Etienne in the first round of the draft. That does not mean James Robinson is undraftable.
So here's some of the names ahead of him, Joe, just to get you more angry. You have Raheem Mostert,
Oh, my God.
Damien Harris, Melvin Gordon III, Michael Carter, Javonte Williams, Chase Edmonds, Kareem Hunt, Travis Etienne, and Mike Davis. Those are some of the names ahead of him. I have him at 15. They have him at 32.
I just... First of all, the fact that Melvin Gordon and Raheem Mostert are ahead of these guys, is ahead of him, is ridiculous. James Robinson is the number one running back in that offense, okay? Let me be clear, people. James Robinson's going to get the bulk of the carries for the Jaguars this year. Mm-hmm. He will get the bulk of the carries.
100%.
He is the 1A running back. Travis Etienne, at the NFL level, is not a 3-down running back. Not yet. I discussed this when we were doing draft coverage. I had Travis Etienne behind Najee Harris. I had him behind Javonte Williams. He was my third running back for a reason.
Yep.
He's going to be in on pass down plays. He's going to be used in sweeps. He's going to be used like Deebo Samuel. That's who he's going to be used like. There is use for that in fantasy. 1,000%.
That circles back to what we were just saying about Cleveland.
Yes. And he's going to be a fantasy asset. But James Robinson is still going to get 15 to 20 to 25 touches a game on some weeks. Do not forget, the Jaguars have a rookie quarterback playing this year. The best medicine for a rookie quarterback is to be able to run the ball effectively. The Jaguars are not going to run the ball effectively if Travis Etienne is running the ball every down. Hence, it's not going to happen. Oh, Joe, they have Carlos Hyde. He's the backup. Now, is he going to get some goal line touches? Sure. They drafted these guys and they signed Carlos Hyde to keep Robinson fresh so he doesn't miss week 15, 16, and 17 this year on God's green earth if they're in the hunt for a playoff spot.
Yep.
So he was gassed last year by week 14 because he was carrying the ball 30 times a game. You don't want to give your running back 30 carries a game. You could confidently draft James Robinson as an RB2.
Of course.
He's not an RB1 this year because the fact that there's other running backs in that system. But you can definitely draft him as an RB2.
100%. 100%.
This discussion is ridiculous.
You might not want to leave the mic because wait till I tell you who's number 14.
Okay. Oh,
are we going to war now?
Oh, no.
Are you ready to go to war?
Are we doing this now?
We could do this right now.
Oh, we're doing it.
We could do it later.
We're doing it.
Oh, they're throwing the balls to the fans. That's so nice. Anyway, all right, so number 14 on my list who has a hate rating. I emphatically say I hate him.
Oh, my God.
I emphatically hate him this year. And I do have a little bit of a vendetta against him, and I'll explain. Joe Mixon comes up at number 14 on my list with a hate rating. Now, let me explain myself before Joe absolutely fucking shreds me to bits. So, Joe had to get up because he's so upset. Joe, can you just sit down? Come back to the seat. Wow, he just put his slippers back on. Why?
I was about to leave the room. Honestly.
All right, so let's talk about something, Joe.
Talk to me, baby.
Let's talk about Joe Mixon.
Let's talk about Joe Mixon.
When in the last 3 seasons has Joe Mixon even been close to a relevant fantasy running back? Wait. Joe Mixon could not withstand being a 2-down back without an injury, let alone now he's going to be a 3-down back. That is reason number 1. Number 2, he has not been a relevant fantasy running back since he's been drafted. Okay? He's been overdrafted every single year due to the lack of how thin the position is that people hold out hope that Joe Mixon on a god-awful Bengals team was going to be the absolute fucking savior. Okay, that's reason number 2. Reason number 3, he is going to get absolutely lost in this offense because this offense is clearly moving into a passing attack. Not to mention when he does run the ball, he can't see holes. And they don't have an offensive line still. So where, and I need you to explain to me because you've been amping this up now for 3 weeks and we are going to fight right now. Why do you love Joe Mixon so much? Like you are willing to die on this hill and I don't understand why. He's not good.
Okay.
And I've traded for him for fucking 3 years now because I hold out hope that something is going to happen and nothing happens. He ends up in the IR spot year after year after year after year. And I always trade for him for a bum-ass pick because nobody wants to keep him.
A bum-ass pick, he says. Okay.
Go ahead. Lay it into me as to why you like Joe Mixon this year.
I am going to pull up Joe Mixon's statistics from last season.
Oh, boy. Here we go.
Really quickly.
Was this in 4 or 5 games?
First of all, you shut your mouth. You had your time. Okay? You had your time.
I will relegate to the Field of Dreams game for the next 5 minutes.
All right, hold on. Can I get is there a way I could get stats for last year?
Yeah, you go to Football Reference.
Okay, hold on. So 2020, he played 6 games. Okay. He had 100 points in those 6 games. Okay. He had 4 touchdowns. Basically, yeah, he had 100 points in 6 games. So he was averaging a little under 20 points a game in those 6 games, okay, before he got hurt.
Okay.
Was he averaging less than 4 yards a carry? Yes. 100% he was. He was averaging 3.6. He also carried the ball 125 times in those 6 games.
Yes.
He was well on his way to carry the ball 400 times last year.
Yep.
Okay? Like I just said with James Robinson, the antidote for having a successful offense with a young rookie quarterback, and Joe Burrow, for all intents and purposes, is still a rookie because he got hurt last year in the middle of the season. So he's still playing rookie ball. Is a successful running attack. Their offensive line did get better. They signed Riley Reif. Okay, they drafted Jackson Carman. They're getting Jonah Williams back. Their offensive line is better. Giovanni Bernard is no longer there. He is the only running back. Samaje Perine is the backup. Samaje Perine, all due respect if you're listening, Samaje, is garbage. Okay? Garbage. Okay? Joe Mixon, for the first time in his life, does not have to look over his shoulder and see another running back to come in the game if he carries a ball for -2 yards. Because his offensive line was dog shit. And yeah, you now have Jamar Chase. You have T. Higgins. You have Tyler Boyd. So guess what? The defense is not going to be expecting Joe Mixon to carry the ball every single down. And did I mention that the offensive coordinator wants him to be on the field every play? Did the offensive coordinator mention that he's going to be more involved in the pass game than he's ever been before? And did I mention that he was an offensive pass threat at Oklahoma that is yet to be utilized in the NFL? Joe Mixon, if healthy, will put up running RB5 points.
Whoa. Joe, relax. Joe just went for my throat. Now I need to combat you a little bit on what you said.
Go ahead, come back, because you're going to tell me Joe Mixon's not a top 10 talent in the NFL when it comes to running back position.
No. Joe, he's not. Was he okay when he came into the league? Was there a lot of untapped potential? Yes, but the sample size is tremendous.
His team's been garbage since he got in the league.
I know, but they're
finally getting a little bit better.
I'm not overdrafting.
How good was Zeke last year?
Zeke, but see, here's the thing. They transitioned the game to Zeke in a different way. Zeke became more of just a receiver because they just started to load the box. With Mixon, it's a little different. Mixon is like...
But you can't load the box with the Bengals now. They have three legitimate wide receivers.
I know, but there is a big health concern with Mixon for me.
Listen, I'm glad that you brought that up because I forgot about that. I'm with you on the health concern. I am not disputing that at all. Joe Mixon has not been able to stay healthy. That does not mean that going into a season you can't not draft him.
I'm not saying
does not mean that.
Joe, I'm not saying don't draft him. I'm just saying don't overdraft him.
What's overdrafting though?
I think he's a 4th round draft pick.
I think he could possibly
But Joe, wait, where does he fit in your tier of running back? So if we're going tier 1, we already know who tier 1 is. Don't even need to discuss it. Does he creep into tier 2 or is he tier 3? If he's tier 3, he's dropping down to the 3rd, 4th round.
He's literally, to me, and I have him at number 10. So whatever you feel like that is.
So he's cusp of tier 2 for you.
Yes, he is.
Where are you drafting him?
If he's available to me, I would draft him at the if I have if you're in a 12-team league and I'm in a 1 to 4 position, I would draft him as my RB2 in the back end of the 2nd round. In the beginning of round 3, if you know you're going to be able to get him on the back end.
See, but then that raises the question, right? Because when you're going in... See, that's my issue, though. Is like if we're going into
if you're saying round 4, you draft him, but you said last week that if you want a guy, you don't wait for him.
You are correct, yes. But with Joe Mixon, when it comes, who's ahead? So who are you drafting him ahead of? So I mean, I have him at number 14 on my.
I'm drafting him ahead of. Okay, we'll just go into this now. I'm drafting him ahead of Antonio Gibson.
Wow, Antonio Gibson is number 6 on my list.
He's number 12 on mine. I'm drafting him ahead of Jonathan Taylor.
I would agree with you on that.
I'm drafting him ahead of Josh Jacobs.
I would agree with you on that.
I'm drafting him ahead of Najee Harris.
I disagree. I have different feelings on Najee.
That's fine. I have Najee at number 13.
I have Najee at number 10. Okay, close.
I'm drafting him ahead of Clyde Edwards-Helaire.
Clyde Edwards-Helaire did not make my top 20.
I'm drafting him ahead of Chris Carson.
That's a tough one. Carson's an interesting one.
I'm drafting him ahead of Miles Sanders. I'm drafting him ahead of Mike Davis. I'm drafting him ahead of James Robinson. I'm drafting him ahead of David Montgomery. I'm drafting him ahead of all these. Oh, he's better than all these guys.
See, I'm not with you on that.
I'm not telling you to draft him ahead of Zeke Elliott or Saquon Barkley or Aaron Jones or Nick Chubb. But yeah, I'm drafting him ahead of those other guys.
See, I can't, that hurts me a little bit because, so now when I'm going to 13, right? So 13, I have David Montgomery. I have Montgomery at 13.
Okay.
Where do you have him?
I have him at 18.
Okay. Montgomery has a love rating for me. I think he
Tariq
was.
Cohen's back.
Yeah, but at the same time, see.
You got to remember, Montgomery's not going to catch the ball as much as he did last year. He's not going to.
Oh, he's a regression candidate for sure.
Right. So,
But-
and you remember that 5-week stretch where he was fantastic? And everyone was like, oh my God, David Montgomery. You realize, I saw this yesterday, he faced the 5th in order, the 5th, 3rd, 6th, 2nd, and 1st worst run defenses in the league last year. In a row.
So we're saying that performance was an anomaly.
I believe it was, yes.
Okay. All right. So that's who I have at 13. Number 12, I have Aaron Jones.
That's fine. I would draft Aaron Jones ahead of Joe Mixon. Completely being transparent.
Yeah, I would too.
Clearly.
But Aaron Jones has a hate rating from me.
Okay.
Okay. We'll get to that.
Yeah, we'll get there.
And then number 11 for me, just to round out the top 11, who also has a hate rating, is Jonathan Taylor.
Okay. Let me go through my 20 to 11, then we'll talk about that.
Okay.
20, I have...
I hope everybody's sitting down. This is getting hot.
I have 20. I have Chase Edmonds at 20.
Okay.
I have James Robinson at 19. I have Montgomery at 18. I have Miles Sanders at 17. I have Clyde Edwards-Helaire at 16. Josh Jacobs at 15. Chris Carson at 14. Najee Harris at 13. Antonio Gibson at 12. And then Jonathan Taylor also at 11.
Okay, so who do you want to talk about in that list?
I would like to discuss Chris Carson.
Okay, he did not make my top 20.
Did not make your top 20.
He did not make my top 20.
And I would like to discuss Najee Harris.
Okay, so
If you want to discuss Gibson too, we can.
Yeah, because Gibson is my number 6.
It's fine. The only thing I'll say about Miles Sanders is that
he did not make my top 20 either.
He was on the cusp. I mean, I could have put guys like Mike Davis ahead of him. I could have put J.K. Dobbins ahead of him. But at the end of the day, Sanders is a 3-down running back for a bad Eagles team.
Yeah.
And he's going to be utilized in both the pass game and the run game. So whether you like him or not, he's going to be force-fed.
Yeah, he's featured on that team.
He's going to be force-fed. That's why I have him in my top 20.
And they do kind of have an offensive identity, right?
Yeah.
A little bit.
I mean, Hurts is a dual-threat quarterback running back, so they're probably going to run the option this year.
Yeah.
So that may help them as well.
That's fair.
But let's talk about Carson, then Harris, then Gibson.
Okay.
So you have Carson out of your top 20.
I do have Carson on my top 20.
Why?
So Carson's one of those guys.
Sorry, where do you have Carson?
So Carson, if I was to have him, he'd probably be right on the cusp.
So it'd be like 21, 22.
About 21, 22.
Okay.
So my thing with Carson is you're going to get 5 amazing weeks of production out of Chris Carson. Every year you get 5 or 6 weeks where you're like, holy shit, this guy's an RB1. He's an incredible asset on your team. And then it happens. And this is going back to Mixon, where it's the same deal, always hurt. I mean, Carson, if we're talking injury, probably has the worst injury luck out of the top 25 running backs.
If there's one guy that I would say is guaranteed to not play all 17 games this year, it is definitely Chris Carson.
And you know what's crazy about this? I'm about to make a bold claim on this pod right now. He is one of the best pure runners
easily in
these rankings, with the exception of Derrick Henry.
I covet him every year in fantasy.
Oh,
because when he is on, he is effective. Now, last year the Seattle Seahawks were very pass happy at the beginning of the season, and Russ was doing ridiculous things. And then for one reason or another, they completely reversed course, and they started running the ball in the second half of the year. And Chris Carson became a beast until he got hurt. Now, the one thing I'll say about Carson is that he is one of those guys who is 1,000% not going to get as many carries because Rashad Penny is finally healthy this year. Yeah. And he's going to be back.
Which that leads you to we'll get into this later, but a handcuff.
Yes.
If you're going to draft Carson, make sure you draft the backup because, like you said, he's not playing all 17 games. But he is worthy of being in the top 25.
I think he's an RB2. I think he's a back end RB2. Well, I shouldn't say back end. I had it at number 14. I think he's definitely an RB2. Until he gets hurt, he's a week in, week out RB2 because the Seahawks like to run the ball. He's going to get the ball on the goal line, and he catches more passes than you think.
Oh, 100%. He's very involved. Whenever he runs that like out route, and it's wide open for him every time. Every time. Russell Wilson always finds him. And then you already know because he's such a good runner.
Yeah.
He's turning the ball upfield. And he's getting more yards after the catch than he probably should every single year. It's pretty incredible. So now, who do we say you want to go to next? Najee?
Let's go to Najee, yeah.
All right, so Najee has a love rating for me. He made my top 10. I'm enamored with this kid.
You know I love Najee Harris.
Dude.
He is going to be, I think he's going to win Rookie of the Year for the Offensive Rookie of the Year. I think that he's a 3-down running back and that I already told you how much when I watched tape of him, how good he is and that's a home run.
Wow. Who hit
Jose
that?
Abreu.
Oh, nice.
How good he is in the pass game. I think he's the perfect antidote. I think they're going to try to use him like Le'Veon Bell, honestly. Swear to God.
Oh, yeah, 100%. And so the thing with Najee that I love the most is, and I texted you that I was going to touch on this, and you're going to see this as a trend probably within the rankings of players on the Steelers not named Ben Roethlisberger being very high ranked in our rankings. And it's weird because it's like, well, he's the quarterback. He's the one that makes the engine go. But it's like, I love Chase Claypool this year. I also love Najee Harris. I think Najee Harris has like 1,800 all-purpose yards. I'm thinking like he's going to have a hell of a season.
I don't know if it's going to be that good.
They're going to feed him the ball.
Yeah,
he's going
I'm not as high on Claypool, I think, as you may be. But we'll get to that when we do. But I think Harris, I have him at 13. So to me, he's cusp RB1 status.
Now, where do you think he goes? So I think he is a overdraft candidate for me.
Oh, he's 1,000%.
So
I could definitely see him going in the first round.
I could see him going in the first round as well. And you know what's funny?
I don't think he should be a first round pick. Now, he will have a better offensive year than Clyde Edwards-Helaire had last year, without question.
Which is funny because like I don't know what the buzz is on Najee as far as fantasy football goes. I think that people are high on him, but I think it's like a slow.
Well, I think the Steelers are slowly navigating towards going back to the run game as their featured type of as what they want to do. But, I think Ben's clearly getting older.
Clearly.
I don't think they want him throwing the ball 50 times a game. So I think Najee is almost a guaranteed 20 touches a game type of player.
Oh, yeah, 100%.
I think he's definitely, and to be 20 touches during a game, I think you want him now. I think he starts the year as an RB2, but could 1,000% end the year as an RB1.
Oh, 100%. And if you know what's funny is I think a lot of people need to be on the lookout for the fall with him in drafts. So like I think if you're drafting in a smart league, he's going to go in the first round, early second. He's going to be drafted high. I think a lot of people are going to forget about him and he's going to slide. In certain drafts where people aren't too like keen, they're going to forget Najee Harris unless you're really looking at a book.
Right.
But be on the lookout for him. If you see him available, don't be afraid to go running back round 1, round 2. Do not be afraid to do that.
I think going running back round 1, round 2 is probably I hate really saying what my draft strategy is because I use it across most of my leagues. But
it's okay. You're talking to the champ. Don't worry.
Shut up. I think there's 2 positions you want to draft early, and that's running back and tight end.
Yeah. You've been a big proponent of that.
That's I think there's so many good wide receivers that you could wait till round 3 or 4 to get a good one.
Of course.
Like you could get Robert Woods in round 3 or 4 and be completely fine with him as your wide receiver 1.
Yep.
Like he's with Matthew Stafford, he's a guaranteed 15 points a game.
Oh, it's not even a question.
But if you're waiting till round 3 to get a running back, you may be stuck with Mike Davis as your RB1.
It's a tough look. Yeah, it's a tough look.
You don't really want that. You may be stuck with David Montgomery as your RB1. And as much as
I love him,
I have him in my top 20, he's not an RB1 candidate for me.
Gotcha.
So
it's fair.
All right, let's go to Washington because I think Gibson's a very interesting candidate as well.
Yep. So Gibson, I have him at number 6 on my list. I have him as a love candidate. I think he was a guy that a lot of people forgot about last year. incredibly successful in that offense.
He had a quiet year. He had 795 yards on 170 carries, 4.7 yards per carry.
Solid.
Caught 36 balls for 247 yards. Had 11 rushing touchdowns, 0 touchdowns receiving because they were all sniped by McKissick. It has been well documented in the offseason that I keep calling the Redskins, Washington football team has mentioned that they want to use Gibson more in the passing game this year. So he will get more volume in the passing game. Last year, he finished the year with 202 PPR points.
It's pretty good.
166 non-PPR points.
There was a lot of people that had him as a RB2 throughout most of the year.
I think he's definitely an RB2 this year.
You know?
I think I have him at 12, so in a 12-team league, he's an RB1, which, you know, if I was drafting him, if I was picking number 12 and there were 11 running backs taken ahead of me, yeah, I would take him, you know, at 12. I wouldn't love it having him as my RB1 because I think there's going to be weeks where Fitzpatrick throws the ball 60 times a game.
But here's the thing, Joe. You know what? Now that you got me thinking about that, and you have him as your RB, you have him as an RB1, and you have him at 12. If you're drafting in a 12-team league in a snake, right?
Yeah.
And you have 12, and obviously the first pick in the second round,
right?
If you draft Gibson and Najee, I think you're in excellent shape.
Now
that I'm thinking about that,
right.
You're in excellent shape.
If you were to do that at 12, 13, I think that, and again, that goes to what we're talking about. I think. Because what you're doing is you're drafting a guy who you expect to be in that RB2 like conversation all year with Gibson. And then you also have a guy in Harris who you think is going to be RB2 at the beginning of the year, but could definitely catapult to RB1 by the end of the season.
Yeah.
So I think you're drafting what you know you're going to get, also with the potential for it to grow.
Exactly.
Because both of those guys are young guys. They could both take the league by storm by the end of the year.
Yeah, exactly. So
definitely.
And look at what Fitzpatrick did with Myles Gaskin last year.
Not a bad comparison.
So.
Like I said, Gibson wasn't poor last year. He was good.
Very good.
He was good. So let's head into the top 10.
Okay.
Why don't you do 10? You go from 10 to 1, then I'll go 10 to 1, then we'll discuss.
All right. So
I don't think we have to go as in depth.
Well, we spoke about a lot of these guys. So
right.
Najee, we already spoke about. I have Najee at number 10. I have Nick Chubb at number 9. I don't really think we need to talk about Nick Chubb.
Nick Chubb is going to challenge Derrick Henry for the most rushing yards in the NFL, but he is non-existent in the pass game. Yeah. So if you're drafting him for him getting 20 to 25 carries a game and a couple of touchdowns.
Yeah, which he's been pretty good for it. At number 8, who has a love rating as well. So Chubb also has a love rating.
Right.
Number 8 has a love rating. That's Austin Eckler. That's your guy.
Eckler! My dude.
He's fantastic.
When he's healthy, bro, he is like, oh, God. Catches, he's like a guaranteed 9 targets a game out of the backfield.
Yeah,
he gets 15 carries and musters somewhere between 70 and 70. He's 150, 170 all-purpose per game guy.
Yeah,
when he's healthy,
and that team's just getting better. So
yeah.
I mean, that's a guy that you draft with confidence. And number 7, who makes my hate list, who I actually want to stop and discuss with you, is Saquon Barkley.
Saquon
makes my hate list this year.
Okay, is it because of the injury?
So 1, it's because of the injury, and 2, that team does not have an offensive identity at all. When you're a running back coming back from a torn ACL, unless you're Adrian Peterson, it's a little tough. Adrian Peterson's just a freak. What do you come back in 7 months?
Yeah, it's retarded.
Saquon's in a weird spot because I feel like the team kind of grew without him. And I didn't like how Wayne Gallman had so much success, almost more success than Saquon did in those first few weeks. I think that they try to force feed Saquon the ball, and it's a little hard because when he's on the field, the field shrinks. They don't trust that Daniel Jones is going to throw the ball. Nobody trusts Daniel Jones. And when Saquon's on the field, they're closing the box. And I think now you know what he is. You know how to defend him. He makes the hate list for me because he worries me. He worries me. And you know what's crazy is he's probably one of the most talented players in this.
In a redraft league, I can see your point. Mm-hmm. In a keeper league or a dynasty league, you have to take him. You have to. The upside is too much. Think about it, John. Let's say, whoa. What?
Wait, what happened?
Jaguars are nearing a deal that would send veteran linebacker Joe Schobert to the Steelers.
Oh.
Wow. What?
Breaking news here on PSP.
I have to check that out. That's kind of nutty.
Didn't you like him?
I do. He had a lot of carries last year, but I'm very confused. I have to wait to see what happens, but very interesting. Okay. Did not expect that to come through, but okay, cool. Anyway, what was I talking about? Saquon. So I think that if Daniel Jones is not good, they're going to let him go. They're going to draft another rookie quarterback. Then who becomes the focal point of the offense? Saquon. I think that, and it goes back to the conversation we keep having about rookie quarterbacks with.
Yeah.
So I think in a keeper league and a dynasty league, I think you have to take him. I think he's a must-have, mainly because of the potential. He is, when he's healthy, he's a fantastic running back, and there's really no doubt about it.
Oh yeah,
he's fantastic. He's the best offensive weapon they have on that offense still right now.
Bar none.
When they get into the red zone, they're going to feed him the ball, and they get onto the goal line. He's going to get the carries, right? And he's not a guy he's a guy that could bounce to the outside and beat. He's got the perfect combination of strength and speed.
Yep.
So he could beat you with a broken tackle. He could beat you with his legs.
Exactly.
Is it going to take him a little bit to get acclimated back to the game? Yes. So I think if you're drafting him in a redraft league, be prepared to sit him for the first couple of weeks of the season. Because even if he is cleared to play week 1, I think he's going to be limited.
Very limited for the first 2
So
weeks.
I think if you're taking him, take him and treat him as an RB2 for the first month of the season.
It's fair.
After the first month of the season, come October, treat him as an RB1. Definitely. I think if you're in a keep league, like myself and you, and you have a running back, a la guy like Austin Eckler that I'm keeping, and I want it really doesn't make a difference. I have the 4th pick in our draft, right? So I have Eckler already locked in. I have the 4th pick. Now McCaffrey's on the board, Elliott's on the board, Kamara's on the board, and Barkley's on the board. If Barkley falls to me at 4, I'm 100% taking him.
You have to.
100% taking him. Because, again, in a keeper league, you have to keep him, right? If I could keep Eckler and Barkley going into next season, it's an absolute win for me. But not only that, if he gets back to the status he's in and he stays healthy, he may be the best running back in the league after Derrick Henry. Like, literally, he may be the best running back in the league after Derrick Henry.
But isn't that such a swing, though? Like, we're talking about a guy where it's like, it's either he's the best running back in football or
I don't think he falls that far, though. I don't think he falls that far. What do you think? If you had to compare him to a running back, you're comparing his fall to what? Are you comparing him to be Saquon Barkley of old or like Mike Davis? Like what's the downfall? What player do you stop him at? Is he Chris Carson?
Because I don't want to sound very pessimistic on Barkley, but
remember he's only going into his 4th year.
He's in a contract year, but
next year's a contract year.
Next year's a contract year. So here's the thing: he was not far removed from almost 100 catches in a season, almost 1,000 yards receiving. I don't think you see that player anymore. I think you see, but
they don't have another running back to really take the reins.
I know, but the problem is I don't know the offensive identity of this team.
I think they're going to try to run the ball. They're going to be a run-first team. Jason Garrett is the offensive coordinator of that team. Do not forget that.
That's true. You're right.
Jason Garrett likes to run the football.
I've thought about this more than I probably should have with Saquon, and it's like I don't want to just like hate him, but at the same time I'm like something doesn't jive.
Doesn't resonate for you.
Something doesn't resonate for me with him. If I'm up and I'm at the 5th, 6th pick and he falls to me, I might pass on him. That's where I'm at in my head. That's where I'm at.
That's fine.
Am I gonna pass on him? Probably not, because that would make
pressure will be too big.
The pressure will be too big. But at the same time, am I thinking about it? Because I'd rather have Honestly, like, Joe, I'm not kidding. I'd rather have Najee Harris. I'd rather have Nick Chubb. I mean, I know I have them below my rankings, but I put Saquon up there at 7 just out of respect.
Yeah, out of respect.
Out of respect. I mean, like, he could have fell lower. I think, what do you have him at 9?
I have him at 9.
So, I mean, come on. We're talking about a guy that was bona fide number 1 here.
Yeah.
So, all right. So, number 6, we already spoke about Antonio Gibson. No need to talk about him.
Right.
Number 5, who makes my love list, of course, Derrick Henry. We don't need to talk about Derrick
Obviously.
Henry. Obviously. Number 4, who is the 50-50 candidate on my list. The only 50-50 candidate is Alvin Kamara.
We'll come back to Kamara.
We'll come back to Kamara. Number 3, I actually had a hate rating on him, and then I put a love rating on him. Maybe because I'm just being a homer, but Dalvin Cook at number 3.
It's a no-brainer for me.
Yeah, I do think he's a regression candidate. I don't think he repeats what he did last year, but that's fine. Number 2 with a hate rating, believe it or not, for me, and I will explain this.
Number 2 hate rating.
Number 2 with a hate rating is Christian McCaffrey.
You're
and
crazy.
Number 1, well, I'll explain why. Number 1 is, with a love rating, is Zeke Elliott. Zeke Elliott is my number 1 running back this year.
All right, I'll count down my top 10, and we'll talk about a couple of different guys.
All right,
then
go
we'll
ahead.
move on to the next thing. I got Mixon at 10. I got Barkley at 9. I got Chubb at 8. I got Elliott at 7. Big difference.
Big difference there.
I have Kamara at 6. I have Eckler at 5. I have Aaron Jones at number 4.
Wow. Okay, big difference there.
I have Henry at 3, Cook at 2, and McCaffrey at 1. The only reason I have Henry at 3 is because of his non-catchability in PPR.
Yeah, standard. He's the best running back in standard.
If you're going non-PPR, the list goes Derrick Henry, and then the list probably goes to Zeke Elliott, number 2.
Yeah.
Or Nick Chubb, number 2. But PPR, Derrick Henry is number 3. And that just tells you how good Henry is, because even without those catches, he's still... I mean, the dude had literally 19 catches last year and still finished with 333 fantasy points.
Yeah, he's just the best running back in football.
Dalvin Cook caught 44 passes and had 300 and only had 5 more fantasy points last year.
Yeah, it's pretty incredible.
So,
Do I think Henry's going to run for almost 2,000 yards again? No.
No.
But, I mean, at the same time, he's going to get his touchdown.
so let's talk about Kamara.
Okay.
We'll briefly go over why you have Zeke number 1, and then we'll talk about McCaffrey, and then I think we can move on.
Okay. So, Kamara, what do you
I just think he's a guy that, he's the focal point of that offense. You're going to Winston and Hill. And I think unlike a lot of what other people think, they're going to use both quarterbacks.
Yeah.
I think that's almost a given. I don't love that idea, but I do. And when reality is when Taysom Hill was playing quarterback for the Saints last year, Alvin Kamara's target share went up a ton.
Yeah.
He's going to get carries. There's nobody behind him. He will, and he's good enough where, Sean Payton is going to put the ball in his hands, whether it's with screens or whether it's with, putting him out as a wide receiver.
I guess.
So you could draft him comfortably knowing he's going to get you 15 to 20 points a week. He might have to scratch out those 15 to 20 points. And there may be weeks where he may be touchdown dependent, but he's going to get you those points. He's going to get you those points. It's not going to be pretty, but he's going to get you those points.
Gotcha.
That's where I'm at with him. If you have him on your team and you turn on Red Zone and you're watching him, you're going to be like, what the hell did I draft? But at the end of the day, when you look back at 9 o'clock at night, he's going to have 17 points or 20 points. And you'll be like, how the hell did he get there? And it's just just the sheer volume he's going to be given,
Yeah.
he's going to get there.
So-
That's my opinion.
Yeah, so the only reason I have him as a 50-50 candidate is because that team kind of worries me slightly, only because we don't know what's going on at quarterback.
I think they're finishing the 500, personally.
Under 500?
Yeah.
I think they are too. And then the question mark with Michael Thomas. So if Michael Thomas is dealt, I feel like that creates a little bit of a problem for Kamara. Because teams are going to start to load the box, and he is not the best pure runner. He is very much a pass catching back. But it's crazy because for somebody who's not a very good runner, I mean, I shouldn't say he's not a very good runner. He's just not. His bread and butter is being in the passing game. And Drew Brees just did that so well with him. I'm not sure how that translates with somebody like Taysom Hill, who I don't think is a starter, and somebody like Jameis Winston, who notoriously cannot find his running backs, which that's another reason why I don't like Christian McCaffrey, and we're going to get to that. So that's why he's a 50-50 candidate. I draft him, obviously, because who's passing up on Alvin Kamara? But at the same time, there's questions. So now, who did you want to go to next? You wanted to go to McCaffrey or Zeke?
Let's go to McCaffrey because I'm drafting him with confidence, but I want to know why you're kind of hate. Is it because of Darnold?
It's because of Darnold. Yeah. So McCaffrey, when he was available last year, people forget he didn't play a lot. I think he played 3 games last year. I do not like Darnold as that quarterback. Darnold is just not good. And that concerns me unless Darnold learns the check down, which would be fantastic for his career because it's something he could not figure out when he was with New York and all he did was throw down the middle, interceptions, wild passes. If he can learn to be a little more conservative, that could bode well for McCaffrey. But McCaffrey's bread and butter is the passing game, and I just don't know if Darnold has that ability.
It doesn't take much to pass 5 feet to a running back, though.
Well, you would say that. And then with the Jets, the running back, listen, Darnold had Le'Veon Bell.
That's true. Yeah, but that was Adam Gase, though. That's completely Adam Gase.
I know, but we'll see how that shakes out. And then number 1, I have Zeke Elliott, obviously, which the only reason I'm going to say I love Zeke Elliott is because I think Zeke Elliott is going to have a bounce back year. I feel like a lot of people are sleeping on him from last year. Did not have a very good season. They were just loading the box on him. With Dak gone, it was tough.
I know.
But coming back, I feel like Zeke, the year before that, he really came on as a pass catcher. I think that when he did have Dak, he was incredible, and I think that we're going to get back to that Zeke Elliott. So
the only thing I think about Zeke we need to be not worried about, but we need to keep monitor on is Tony Pollard. Tony Pollard's maybe the best backup running back in the league after Kareem Hunt. And they have openly said that they want to give Zeke a little bit less touches this year so they keep him fresh. Mm-hmm. So if you're expecting for him to have another, what did Zeke have last year?
He had less than 1,000 yards last year. Well,
yeah, last year wasn't a good year, but he had 200 so he's had 304 in 2018, 304 carries in 2019, 301, and then last year he had 244. His yards per average has gone down every year since 2018. So I don't know. Obviously, you got to tack last year up to the fact that there was no Dak. So with that, I think things change. But you could draft him comfortably as an RB1. Easily. All right. When we get back, we are going to talk in our third segment about handcuffs, depth pieces, sleepers, and busts. So do not go anywhere. All right, folks, we're back here for segment number 3 of the Perfect Spiral podcast, episode number 25. And, John, I'm not going to lie to you. I'm trying to find out what the Jaguars got for Joe Schobert, and I cannot find it.
You want me to see if I have it?
No, I'm checking Twitter, and it's just not there. I don't know why they traded him, unless they're really high on Damien Wilson, who they got from Kansas City this offseason. So we'll see. In Urban, we trust, right?
Yeah, I guess so.
In Urban, we trust. I mean, they just signed him last year in an offseason to like a 5-year, like $100 million deal. So clearly, either they wanted to offload that contract for something or whatever. Some people are saying they might get back Eric Ebron in the trade as a pass-catching tight end, but we'll see.
I'm just checking some of the preseason stuff really quick.
Oh, how are we looking? Got score updates?
Najee Harris just has 2 catches.
Nothing crazy.
Jalen Hurts is 3 for 7 for 54 yards.
Oh, boy. Your keeper.
Who else?
Fitzpatrick, 5 of 8. Antonio Gibson, 4 for 16. Cam Newton is playing tonight.
He is.
3 of 6 for 42 yards.
Oh, I got 4 of 7 for 49.
Oh, you may be updated. Anyway. All right. Let's go. What do you want to do first? You want to do handcuffs? Or you want to do like depth, sleepers, busts?
This is going to be a rapid fire segment, right? So, because we always go so long on these.
I know.
So I'm going to go, let's go handcuffs because I have a few here.
Okay. So, I have as handcuffs, okay? And obviously, guys, for those of you who don't know what handcuffs are running backs you have to draft together, like running back tandems. So, for instance, if you draft Javonte Williams, you have to draft Melvin Gordon. That's a handcuff for me.
Yeah.
Because if one of those guys gets hurt, the other one takes over full time. Exactly. Another one would be DeAndre Swift and Jamal Williams.
That's who I have here.
Do you have any other ones outside of that?
So just to make it clear, I hate DeAndre Swift this year. But if you do have to draft him, make sure you draft Jamal Williams because I do think Jamal Williams is gonna fucking vulture the shit out of him.
Bold prediction. I don't know about Jamal Williams will have more fantasy points than DeAndre Swift.
Oh yeah, 100%. Tony Pollard goes without saying. J.D. McKissick is not only a major flex play for me, but a major, handcuff for me. Alexander Mattson is another handcuff with
always.
Dalvin Cook.
Always.
And
that's
then,
like the one that we know about.
I'm going to highlight a guy, a running back, really quick. Not really. Actually, no, when we get to the sleepers, I'll mention him.
Okay.
So that's my handcuffs.
I mean, I have a couple of guys. I mean, I have an interesting one maybe that people may not be talking about. I think if you're going to draft Miles Sanders, you also want to draft Kenneth Gainwell.
Interesting. Okay.
Kenneth Gainwell is a 4th-round rookie that out of the University of Kentucky, who is kind of flying up the depth chart in Philadelphia right now. May even give Boston Scott a run for his money.
Yeah.
As RB2 there, so I definitely would want to take him. If you're also drafting Raheem Mostert, I would draft Trey Sermon.
That's who is my sleeper that I wanted to discuss.
Sorry. And last but not least, this is my opinion. If you draft J.K. Dobbins, I would draft Gus Edwards.
Gus. Shout out Gus.
Gus the Bus.
Yes. Played high school football. Good guy.
So, I mean, if it's not, you don't want to do it like too often, but there's certain instances where if a guy gets hurt, there's another guy that's going to step in who may be just as good and who may not even give the job back.
Exactly.
So
it's always good to have most teams have enough roster spots
except for Madison. Madison is, no matter how good Madison is, Dalvin Cook's he's not getting that.
It's so crazy because Madison would be a starter on any other team. He's pretty fucking good.
I know he is good.
So now sleepers. You want to go sleepers really quick?
You want to go? I'll go one. You go one.
Yeah. So I only really have one.
Oh, you do, and it's Sermon.
Yeah, it's Trey Sermon.
Okay.
He was fantastic at Ohio State. I mean, we loved him, right? He was
good.
Guy.
I didn't realize he wasn't as much of a pass catcher. He's definitely more of a pure runner. Mm-hmm. But I think that he's a guy that Mostert has a history of getting hurt. And I think that Sermon would be the next man up. They also have JaMychal Hasty there still. Mm-hmm. They also they have another guy. I forget who it is, but
Michael Carter's another one for me on the Jets.
Michael Carter, I think, is going to have a nice year. I think they're going to start the year out by alternating carries between Ty Johnson and LaMichael Pirine, who was drafted in the third round out of Florida last year. He had some good games. Ty Johnson had a couple of good games in those 2 games that the Jets won. Ty Johnson was kind of integral to those. Yeah. So that might be interesting.
Real quick, though, Joe, before you get to your sleepers, I just want to mention one thing because I saw him on your page, and I do not want to forget to talk about him because he's very important in keeper leagues.
Who?
Cam Akers.
Oh.
If you are in a keeper league, draft Cam Akers late. Yes. Cam Akers would have been a top 10 running back for me. And I think on a lot of people's boards, he would have been the top 10 running back. Incredible running back. That is a devastating injury that he sustained. If you draft him late. A lot of people are going to forget that 11th, 12th round sweet spot. Take him, sit him, and depending on how your keeper works, I mean, with our keeper, you keep him at the round you drafted him for up to, and then you lose a round every year up to 3 years. So definitely be on the lookout for Cam Akers.
Stole my thunder a little bit, that guy.
Why?
My sleeper is Daryl Henderson.
Oh.
We didn't talk about Daryl Henderson.
They have him very high on.
Daryl Henderson.
Number 20.
Number 20. For me, he's number... where the hell did I have him? He is number... Oh, God. I have him at 23, but we didn't mention his name once during this whole podcast.
Yeah.
And he's a 3-down running back for the Rams. So I think he's definitely a guy that you want to take a long look at. Also, I hate to do this, but Philip Lindsay.
Yeah, I was thinking about him.
I think he is the best running back in Houston, and on a team that's going to do a whole lot of nothing. Someone is going to have to give them some sort of offensive jolt or life, and I think Lindsay's going to be that guy.
That makes me sad, Joe, because that means that David Johnson is now...
David Johnson is in the rear view, my friend.
God damn it.
He's in the rear view.
You know me.
Also, another guy. I want to bring this one up. Javian Hawkins. Now you say, who? Javian Hawkins. He is a running back for the Atlanta Falcons. He was an early declare from Louisville. Very undersized, 5'8", 183 pounds. Scat back. Very good pass protector, believe it or not. 4.45 40 time and 36-inch vertical. He is a big home run hitter. He's a guy that you kind of like put in that change of pace back, and he just kind of like takes one to the house. I think in a situation where the Falcons are bad and Mike Davis is doing the bare minimum to get by, Javian Hawkins might be a guy who week 10, week 11, week 9, he may help you in your fantasy league get to the playoffs and stuff like that. So just keep an eye on Javian Hawkins.
Good call, Joe.
Javian Hawkins, keep an eye on him. Also, I'm Ramondre Stevenson out of New England.
Interesting. Deep sleeper.
Deep sleepers now. We're going deep here. But we have a guy who is 6 foot, 229. He's backing up Damien Harris. He's another power running back. Does not have a lot of speed, ran 4.64, but he's a bulldozer. Kind of, if I had to compare him to a player, I would compare it to LeGarrette Blount.
Interesting.
If I had to compare him to a guy, and we all know how much Bill loved LeGarrette Blount.
He did love him. He was
so don't be surprised if Stevenson gets some goal line carries this year. If you draft Damien Harris, I'm telling you, you're gonna watch games, and at the goal line, it's gonna be Ramondre Stevenson. You'll be like, who the hell is Ramondre Stevenson? You heard it here first. Ramondre Stevenson, vulture, touchdown vulture.
There we go.
That's it. John, running back position is done.
Joe just closed his book.
Just closed my book. I'm done. Next week is wide receivers.
You want to do wide receivers and tight ends together?
We could.
Might as well.
Why not? Wide receivers, tight ends, and newsflash, Travis Kelce's the number one option for both wide receivers and tight ends.
Whoa.
Newsflash.
Wait, so are we... All right, wait. Time out. Before we go, are we going to rank them together?
No.
Or rank them separately?
Separately.
Okay. All right. Fair enough. So there is technically a number one wide receiver, but you're just saying you prefer Kelce.
If I have the pick of the litter, I'm choosing Kelce.
Interesting. Okay. Fair enough.
So we can go over that next week. John, any last words for the group?
I'm good, man.
All right. That is our 25th episode, folks. We've made it. Here's to the next 25. So for everybody, for my co-host John McCarthy, my name is Joe Miglio. Enjoy some Field of Dreams baseball between the White Sox and the Yankees. And if you're listening tomorrow, enjoy some preseason football. We'll talk to you later. Have a good night.